You guys, I began my videos off in multiple weird ways, but I wanted to talk to y'all this time. It's late at night. It's 11:03 right now, and I've been thinking about some new what ifs. Something that I wanted to do. One, I want to write a musical about, you know, the entire story of Jesus. I don't know how that's going to happen, but someday I'm telling y'all, I got inspired by it. But I'm thinking about what ifs I want to make today. I mean, it could be a part three of what if Goku was to have Ultimate. It could be part two of what if Deku had a regeneration quirk. What if Malfoy was was a Fishermite part two, or what if Deku was had Fishermite part two? But like, quite honestly, I don't know what I want to do. But no, I think I have the inspiration. What if Deku was a Saiyan? You know what? Without any further ado, I'm gonna keep you all waiting any longer. Let's get into it.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yo, go, go.
Now, how exactly would I do this? I'm going to go the normal route that everyone else takes. Just simply have Hiyachi Midoriya come in, do his thing, and then go work overseas. Me personally, I think that's just what Inko told him. I think even his father is a bum, and or he's dead, or he's secretly, off one. But that's just fan theory, fan theory, fan theory. But in this what if, even though Deku is a Saiyan, firstly, nobody know what that is except Hiyashi himself, Midoriya father. So Deku isn't going to know how to use Ki, at least not yet. But for whatever reason, he does have this weird obsession with fighting. He already wants to be a hero. Now he's timid, non-violent, but he likes training and being he likes being strong and finding strong opponents. So Inko signs him up for martial arts classes. But it's not just when Deku going to become proficient at such a young age and masters of tons of them. Taijutsu. I know that's not real, but I can do whatever I want. It's my Lord. He used magic techniques just as taijutsu, boxing, karate, kung fu, judo, maitan, aikido, tai chi, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, kung fu, mixed martial arts, kickboxing, wrestling, kendo, and Deku. By the time he's about to enter UA in middle school, which is about a year before the actual interest begin for his age group, he actually manages to master almost every martial art style, every martial art style that's offered in Japan. And Deku is somewhat of a well-rounded celebrity. In his strength, he's more powerful than the average human for sure. And he's massively strong. He's faster than the average human, being at peak human. Even going beyond that, some would compare him to superhumans or humans with or quirk users with body enhancements. But and when Deku went to the doctor when he was younger, he did not have a quirk. No matter how many tests doctors did, Midoriya simply just don't have the quirk. But for them, it doesn't make any sense. Is his martial arts prowess just a fluke? Is he a new evolution in the human race for quirkless people? Is he somehow going to be stronger? This doesn't make any sort of sense whatsoever, but Deku's like really strong. And he's comparable to people like Alzawa in strength, or Eraserhead in strength. And they just trained their bodies really hard, but Deku, he still has a thing for training. But one day, as he's walking home, he does get attacked by this weird villain. This villain made of sludge. And he was a bit weirded out by this, and he begins to suffocate. Since even though he's way stronger, he still can't do much against the creature himself. And Deku begins to freak out a little bit as this weird glow begins to come from his hands. And Deku never experienced this before, but it just drains him even faster. It makes him lose his breath. And Deku passes out, and when he awakes, All Might is slapping him, his favorite hero, making sure he's alive. So Midoriya, not thinking as All Might is about to jump away, he grabs onto All Might's leg, freezing it. As All Might notices, what the heck? Strong grip, but he looks behind him as he's like, oh crap, my time limit is almost up. As he lands on a nearby roof, it's just about as he's about to jump off again, his time limit wears off, and he's just like crap. And he goes over to Midoriya as he's freaking out and like, you're not All Might, you're some sort of imposter. As All Might says, no, this is really him, and he explains to Deku a little bit of what happened about how he got into a bad fight a few years back. And ever since then, he's only been able to use his full power for 3 hours a day. As Deku is a bit shocked, but Deku goes on to ask the question. I don't have a quirk. Do you think I could be a hero without a quirk? I mean, I have been training a lot, and some people say I'm already comparable to some pro heroes, but I don't have any sort of powers at all. As All Might remembers, oh, you're that kid. As All Might have been looking into Midoriya, figure out like he doesn't have a quirk, but for some reason he's a master in every form of martial arts. He's stronger than almost every human, and All Might begins to consider him a user for One for All. As All Might says, yes, with skills like yours, you would be able to be a great hero. You would be able to be a great hero. But even if you can't be a hero, there's other ways you can make a difference. You can become a firefighter, or you can become a police officer. You don't have to be a hero to do good, kid. But as they're speaking, they hear an explosion goes off. As All Might looks over, and he's like, crap, I dropped the villain. As Midoriya feels a bit guilty, but he begins to rush off, jumping from building to building, and All Might's like, yo, I know this kid was tough, like he's even proficient in parkour. As All Might goes to try to catch up, but just as he catches up, he sees Midoriya rushing, trying everything in his power to save Bakugo. And Deku that is pushing a little bit of leeway as he goes in even further, trying to get Bakugo as Midoriya begins to move a bit faster than he is before as his eyes slightly go. But it's not even noticeable as All Might gets inspired by this, breaking through his limit. Punching his sludge rolling so hard it literally changes the weather itself. As both Bakugo and Deku and the other civilians are amazed by this, but Deku still ends up getting scolded. And when all the chaos finally dies down, All Might, as soon as All Might is Deku is in private, All Might begins to tell Deku a little bit more about his past and what his quirk actually is. Then he says, I want you to be my successor. I want you to be the successor of One for All. As Midoriya is shocked by this, and he believes he could finally become a hero with this, and he takes it and he eats it. And his actual official training to use One for All began as he's able to clear out the beach. in absolutely no time at all, taking him about a couple weeks. Since he's always been training, he's always going, pushing through his limits. And All Might notices this, and he finally passes on one for all to Deku since he's been able to do it really fast. But before he activated, he calls in a few favors, and recovery. He takes Deku to UA, or at least a private session of UA with Recovery Girl and Principal Nezu. Since they know Midoriya is All Might successor, and Midoriya tries to use One for All, but it goes horribly wrong. As Deku bites off a little bit more than he can chew, and he mangles up his legs and his arms, and he passes out from the exhaustion. Oh my! This should not sound him to control the power. I thought he could handle it. I thought he could handle it like I could. By the looks of his body, it looked like he can handle about 10% at the current moment. I guess he went overboard. You think? As recovery girl begins to use her powers on Midoriya, and a couple hours later, Deku wakes up, and for some reason, he has this weird burst of energy. He feels faster, stronger, more agile, and he begins to jump up and down. As recovery girl is confused, what the heck? You're supposed to be tired. Side note: Deku have just received his first Zenkai boost, a trait unique to the Saiyans. And right now, because of the Zenkai boost, Deku went from being able to use 10% of One for All to 15% of One for All with ease. And they try to activate the quirk again, and this time Midoriya, Deku, right? He kind of pushes the quirk throughout his entire body, and for some reason it feels natural. Deku feels this real burst, and thanks to One for All, Deku have somewhat been able to activate his ki properly since in this universe quirks are just high forms of chi. And they have mutated gene and virus and not mutated the ways different people can use the chi. And Deku pushes out this entire body as he begins to glow this greenish blue color as he activates full power for the first time as his hair begins to flow, and he's at full power of 15%. And it's a bit hard and difficult for Deku to move since he's literally never had a quirk before, and he never felt anything like this before. So throughout the couple months, it takes Deku a little bit of time, at least a week, to get acclimated to One for All. And Deku begins his proper combat training with it, as he begins to mix a lot of his martial arts styles and a bunch of different forms of combat to make his quirk uses more efficient, being able to master it in no time flat. And at the end of the 9 months, he can use about 20% of One for All efficiently without any stress on his body. But anything more than that is it's way too damaging for him. And Deku did notice he has to eat a lot more, but Deku is excited for what the future holds. And prayerfully, he believes he's going to get the #1 spot of the entrance exam, and that's his goal. But that's where I'm going to end this part off right here. I really do hope y'all enjoy it. I'm sorry for all the sniffling. My nose is like uber snuffy. But peace out, and hopefully I'll come back for another watch.